Good evening, Arkansas. It is Sunday, July the 9th, 2017. This video is called Mayor Joe Smith's Missing Numbers. And to put the context of this, the city of North Little Rock is attempting to raise taxes in a special election. Voters are going to have to stop a 1% sales tax increase scheduled for August 8th of 2017. And this election is for a multi-million-dollar tax increase. It's supposed to go to police, fire, sanitation, infrastructure. And in order to sell this tax increase to the voters, Mayor Joe Smith is having these town halls. He's had several of these presentations beforehand, and he's had there's 5 town halls. He's already had 2 of them, and the third one is coming up this Thursday. So this is going to be kind of a response to that town hall and others. And then, of course, this is to inform the citizens of North Little Rock in general. And the reason I call this Mayor Joe Smith's Missing Numbers is that these are items, and Mayor Joe Smith, when making a presentation, talks about the financial situation they're in, where they're going to run out of money to maintain the city's basic needs, the police, fire, and sanitation. He then gives a presentation where he says, well, we could raise the sanitation fee. Of course, he makes it $15 and then shows how that won't be able to pay for the sanitation department. I don't know if he excludes what they already give to the sanitation department or not. See, that's one of those questions that we don't really know. And then he goes through and says, well, what if we cut the budget? And what he does is he puts all the departments, the police, the fire, the sanitation, his own department together, and he makes 7.5% salary cuts. And then, of course, he says if we do this, we'll lose so many policemen and firemen. And then, of course, he says, I'm not going to do that. And he gives a really emotional speech about how we need police and firemen. And then he also says, I'm going to cut all the travel expenses, which a lot of that goes to police training. Yes, that's true, but how much of it doesn't go to police training? How much of it is just to subsidize you traveling around the place? And so the presentation made by Mayor Joe Smith is designed to scare people into making cuts into government. So I'm going to do the exact opposite. I'm going to do what should have been done before the tax increase was even proposed for the city council. By the way, it was proposed in I think May, and so we've only had a few months just to even hear about this thing. This should have been talked about when Mayor Joe Smith first took office, long before in 2017. Quite frankly, if it should have been an item at least put on the 2016 election. They knew about this over the course of several years. That Mayor Joe Smith even talked about this when he was running for election, that he was going to do this. But these are some items here. The Innovation Hub, that's an event center in downtown North Little Rock. Now, Sherman Park, where the last town hall was held, is right near this thing. This is basically a high-end, hipster-type event center. I actually went to one event with this. It was by the CW for the opening of Riverdale, one of the TV shows I have on there, and I even did cosplay for there. It is a nice place. But it's obviously not paying for itself. As you can see, we're subsidizing it $150,000. That is a lot of money that should be used to repair the police station, repair the fire station. Now, I've heard when I went to Sherman Park there, one lady suggested we really need a grocery store in that area. She called it a food desert. I don't know if that's... I'm not quite sure what that term actually means. I mean, there's foods, you can order a pizza from just about anywhere in the town. So, but I might be supportive if this were a grocery store, especially if it eventually would pay for itself. But just an innovation hub for hipsters to hang out at, and hipster organizations, and the Democrat Party often has their meetings here. No, you don't need to subsidize that when you need money for police and fire. Central Arkansas Transit, I put here empty buses. That's not in the budget, but I added that. $2 million, over $2 million that we are using to subsidize a going green pet project done by a bunch of big government types. And that's just, by the way, North Little Rock. This doesn't include Sherwood. I think Jacksonville subsidizes it. I think the county subsidizes it, and the whole thing and the federal government subsidizes it as well. This thing certainly does not pay for itself. Mayor Joe Smith claims that it takes 10,000 people to work. I think that's probably just a guesstimate that this department uses to justify its existence. There's no evidence to back that up. And quite frankly, even if there was, why are we subsidizing people to go to work with so much money? With the days of KenCab and Uber and a lot of people not even having to go anywhere because they have the internet now, there's no way this system can work. $30,000 for the History District Commission, and then $85,000 for the History Commission. These are both items in the appropriations budget for the city of North Little Rock. And again, I know I like history, like the next guy, but you don't need to be subsidizing this when you have a police station and fire station are falling apart. City Beautiful, that's an anti-littering program. First of all, we already have anti-littering programs for the state, for the county. And I think most of this goes to the stupid brochures that say, don't litter. And plus, we have law enforcement that says don't litter. So if you're caught littering, I'm sorry, 20 grand. You don't spend money on that when your police station has a hole in its roof. 6 bridges. That is bike paths. That's $25,000 going to 6 bridges. And we already have miles and miles of bike paths. The city wants to add more. The county wants to add a 65-mile bike path while there's a crime wave going on in Little Rock. I believe the city of Little Rock just approved a $1 million for another walk bridge while they had a just about a week before the big Saturday shootout where they had 50 bullets and 25 people shot and multiple drive-bys. They are not our local government is not prioritizing. You don't need to be spending money on bike paths. And no, do not even bother to tell me that these bike paths are going to pay for themselves. There's no way tourists are going to come by and spend the millions of dollars that they spend on these bike paths. Merchants Association, 10 grand. I know that's not that much. With the Chamber of Commerce on a state level, a county level, and a local level, do we really need another Merchants Association? I don't think so. North Little Rock Inland Maritime Museum, $150,000. That is the tugboat, which I believe is the Hogan. And the submarine, the USS Razorback, that Mayor Pat Hayes decided to bring up here. And again, it was supposed to, just like the trolley and the bike paths and the Mayor Joe Smith's Plaza, it's supposed to bring in tourists and pay for itself. And of course, it's not. We're subsidizing it. This, by the way, is just the appropriation budget items. This Maritime Museum also has its own budget item, which I'll get to later. Art and Cultural Education, 68 grand. That's mainly in the Argenta District. That's those art festivals that you see. Of course, we hear about the millions that go into art on a federal level while our budget, where we're $23 trillion in debt. And I don't know if the art is the art industry, let's be honest, there's a lot of rich people in that. They could pay for this themselves if they wanted to. Community concert band, $5,000. I like music like the next guy, but no, if there's a good enough band, we don't need to subsidize it. $30,000 for sister cities. I believe our sister city is one in South Korea, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's been changed. And I think they have like a monument in front of the North Little Rock where you pay the bills, the North Little Rock the Utilities Department building. And I'm sure they're real nice people. If they'd like to loan us some money to help us repair our police station, that'd be nice. And these are all nice things. My dad was in the Navy for 3 years. There's a Pearl Harbor survivor less than a block from me, so I certainly have a feeling for the Navy. And I know about the story of the Hogan and its incident in Pearl Harbor, but there is something horribly wrong with this program when it takes $150,000. This is mainly for the building and the tourists, and that are obviously not working. And when I get into the budget in this, you'll see we're even subsidizing the gift shop. That's how bad it is. It definitely needs to be cut. This is just part 1, so I'm going to go to part 2. I'll kind of give the entry to that, and then I'll get through more budget items. But these are, again, items that you will not see in Mayor Joe Smith's presentation, which should have, A, these items should have been here, and B, this should have been done before the tax increase was even proposed. And these reasons are why we need to vote against the North Little Rock sales tax, 2017, August 8th. Early voting starts August 1st, and I'm going to go into the next video now.